The three top private universities in America are led by moron presidents that cannot condemn the hatred of Jews on their own campuses because it depends on the context. Shame on you. I know you saw it, the whole world saw it a couple days ago. There were presidents of the three of the top universities in America on the East Coast, Harvard, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the University of Pennsylvania, all private schools. The three presidents were being grilled in front of Congress. Elise Stefanik is one of my heroes now. She was so fantastic. She went after all three of them and said, will you condemn the language that came from your campuses that is going on today on your campuses, saying things like death to Israel, death to the Jews, Hitler was right, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, all of which are calls for genocide. Not one single one of the three presidents would condemn it. And they all talked about, and you made the joke, well, it depends on the context. When you talk about I'm going to kill you, does it need any context? Do you understand the words? I'm going to kill you. I want to kill you. I'm encouraging other people to kill you. I don't think that's First Amendment speech. And on a campus that's receiving federal grants and tax breaks and support, I think all that money ought to be cut off. And we talked about this before, and you made an interesting point that the donors ought to cut it off. But the big money doesn't come from American donors, Will Johnson. It's coming from Saudi Arabia. It's coming from Qatar, right? It's coming from Singapore, where there's massive amounts of money. And they are not only giving the money to, say, MIT, they're telling you what professors to hire and what studies programs, like Middle Eastern Studies, which is a cover for Go Hamas, Boo Israel.
Yeah. And what's the other one? Intifada?
And Intifada Now.
Intifada Now.
Right, which is a call for revolution to kill Jews. Of the three presidents, they got the University of Pennsylvania president and her boss, the chairman of the board of trustees, to resign. Harvard had massive calls to resign. And then 500 professors came out and said, no, we want President Gay, that's her name, the president of Harvard, to stay. And so she's staying. And the president of MIT is staying. And nobody's doing a thing about it.
The parents should pull their kids out of school. Stop funding them. And you know what, Barry? I don't know if this is even possible. But now that many people are finding out that these universities, these colleges are getting great deal of their funding from outside of the country, that should be cut off. That should be cut off, saying no more, because these countries, they're terror sponsors. So you're taking money from terror sponsored nations because they sponsor these terrorists, and the school is just taking the money. There should be a big no about that, negative about that. There's a thing called ethics, right? If you go to another country and they start, giving you all these lavish dinners and doing all this stuff, special favors for you, doing this, do that, and then you come back and then they expect a return or favor, and it's happening. There's ethic laws against all of that. I remember when I was working at IT, when I was in California, every year I had to go through that training because we have vendors come in, we have people come in from other nations. They cannot give you any gifts. They can't give you anything. If we're going to use them, we purchase the software, and that's it.
Why no gifts? Because if they gave you something, they'd expect something back.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I had to go through that training. But what I'm hearing now is that these universities, they don't have to do that. They can take whatever gift that they want, up to $1 billion, if not more. And then they, in return, of course, they're going to want something in return. And we're seeing their return, anti-Israel.
Oh, yeah. These countries are getting to say who should teach. They're saying who should chair the departments. They're saying what the curriculum should entail. They're creating a whole new curriculum. Like I mentioned it before, Middle East studies. The Middle East Studies program, Gaza good, Israel bad.
Yeah.
Iran good, Israel bad, right? All these crazy left-wing conspiracies, good. Sane, rational, pro-American capitalism, boo.
Yeah.
So you get people graduating with 3 nose rings and purple hair and a they or it pronoun, and they're never going to get jobs and no one's going to hire them, and then go back to their parents' basement. But the good news is they don't have student loan debt anymore because we forgave that.
Yeah. When they signed the line to pay for it in the first place. Barry, I saw a video just yesterday in the UK where this Muslim guy was saying that they want to end democracy and bring in the Sharia. Sharia should be all over the planet. And they held up signs, Barry, that says democracy is the cancer, Sharia is the answer. And these idiots here in the United States of America that keep screaming democracy, democracy at these universities, Barry, they turn it right around and says, oh, yeah, we welcome all of their ideology. We reject Christianity. We reject Judaism, right? We reject all of that. But, you know, if you want to be anti-Israel, anti-Christian, anti-God, anti-America, you're welcome. They embrace them. It's demonic, Barry.
Here's how bad it is. This breaking news just announced. The UN General Assembly has just voted to condemn Israel regarding their invasion of Hamas, and the United States proposed an amendment to condemn Hamas for the massacre. The amendment was rejected.
Really?
The UN would not condemn the invasion of a sovereign country.
Wow.
And the murder of 1,200 of its citizens and over 10,000 rockets fired into their cities. No condemnation, only a condemnation of Israel. 153 countries voted for it.
How does that happen? I know we don't talk too much about it, but Barry, and you just mentioned it just a second ago, that it's getting worse. It's going to get a lot worse. Me personally, because I'm a Christian, I believe what the Bible says. The Bible tells us that in the last days that it's going to be so bad that somebody's going to come along and stop all the violence, Barry. I truly believe we are in that time right now. Someone's going to come along, and this person is going to be the Antichrist. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that subject, but you can't ignore what's happening. Israel is simply defending itself. And you have all of these nations talking about, oh my goodness, Israel, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're supposed to allow them to shoot rockets at you. You're supposed to allow them to kill you. You're not supposed to get rid of the mechanism or the group that's trying to kill you. How dare you? Something's wrong with you. You're the occupiers, not them. And you know what, Barry? Really quick, I get a lot of people, especially on X. I mean, X is like getting worse than TikTok when it comes to the anti-Semitism, right? People in there saying that Israel is the occupiers. And I said, no, I said, Israel is getting rid of the occupiers in the Gaza Strip. That's what's happening. And they need to get rid of them. They need to get rid of them. Now, the innocent men and women and children in the Gaza Strip, no one wants them harmed except for Hamas. But no one is kicking and screaming, talking about what Hamas is doing. No one says anything about that.
Well said.